So in this video, as promised, I am going to cover the graphics cards. Okay, so the graphics card is the graphics processing unit, the GPU. I say graphics card, but it could be that you choose to have a graphics capability on your CPU. I don't think I mentioned that in the CPU video. So some CPUs will come with a graphics capability, and the graphics connection will be on the motherboard that's compatible with that CPU, the central process unit. I would say they are a non-starter for anything like gaming, or certainly for a flight simulator. They do have now much more power than they had before, and they can be a solution for some of the basic simulation. But in my view, a secondary additional graphics card is a kind of minimum standard. You need to look at the socket on the board. So most new graphics cards now will need a PCIe slot. You need to look at the graphics card that you can afford. So the two main make will be Nvidia and AMD. I personally think Nvidia, in my experience, has been a much more stable experience in terms of the drivers and the way they have worked with. I prefer the Intel chipset. If you've gone for an AMD processor, then I guess an AMD graphics card may be more compatible. I can't speak to that because I've never actually used many AMD graphics cards, so I'm a little bit biased on this. I would say personally, from my experience, the Nvidia graphics cards are very stable. They are easy to configure in terms of their drivers. The graphics card is probably one of the most straightforward upgrades you can fit. If you've got a graphics card in already, or even if you haven't, you need to so take out the graphics card you've got it in already. The main thing to remember when taking out the graphics card is there is a little push lever, usually on the top of the card around the middle. You need to go to the back of the card and just push that little trigger down, undo the screw that is holding it into the slot in the case, and then just lift it out. You need to push that lever down though, otherwise you'll end up breaking off the clip and you'll have nothing to clip the new graphics card back into. You then simply need to drop the new graphics card, not drop it, to fit the new graphics card into the slot, to gently push it in until it clicks, till the little lever in the middle clicks, connect the screw to hold it into the slot, and then you'll already have checked what power connections you need. Some of the bigger graphics cards need 2 power connectors, so you need to make sure you connect the power connectors before you turn on the computer. Otherwise the graphics card is just not gonna work. The only other things to remember really on the bigger graphics card, so I've got a GTX 1080 in the main family computer. It's quite a heavy card. It's got a kingpin, so it's a big graphics card. And if you've got a big graphics card that's on a most cases the motherboard will be vertical when the computer is working. You might want to consider, you can get like a retaining bracket, a strengthening bracket. They're quite cheap, that fit in the slot, and it's worth thinking about that because those brackets can avoid the either the slot getting strained or the graphics card dropping a little bit out of the slot. And one issue I had was I kept getting blue screens, kind of blue screen of death. The computer kept restarting, and that was down to the graphics card working loose. And when I added the retaining bracket, you can get different retaining brackets. Most useful ones I think are the ones that actually screw onto the slots, but you can get like almost like an acro prop type bracket, just takes the weight of the graphics card, and that will avoid it breaking its connection. And it certainly solved the problem that I had with my computer playing up. So the graphics card, just to recap, you need to make sure you get the right slot. I would go for the most powerful graphics card you can afford. They can be mind-blowingly expensive for the new ones. You simply need to make sure you hold down the lever to pull the old card out, having undone the screw. Push in the graphics card in firmly, but not too firmly, into the slot till it clicks. Connect the connecting screw, and think about whether, depending on how heavy the card is, that you want whether you want to put any sort of strengthening or bracket on it. Make sure you connect the power, and that's it. Your graphics card is probably one of the more straightforward upgrades. It can have a major impact and improvement. The other thing you need to remember, though, is then you need to download and install the drivers. You need to keep your drivers up to date, particularly as new programs come out. So the new Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and NVIDIA issued a new driver just to enable that to be optimized. So you need to keep an eye on the new drivers. In my opinion, it gives you the option to download a thing called NVIDIA Experience. I always untick that box. It can be useful if you've got a lot of games, but for the purpose of the simulator, I think it adds no value, so I never install that. I install all the other elements of the driver, and that will enable you then to configure the graphics card as you want to. Windows 10, or most of the new versions of Windows, will probably install a basic NVIDIA driver anyway, but it's always worth going to the website, downloading the driver and upgrading it, because that'll give you the latest capabilities of your card. Hopefully that was useful. As I say, that's one of the most straightforward upgrades, and that's all I've got for you in this video. And feel free to subscribe, leave any comments, tick the bell if you want to be updated when new videos get uploaded, and I'll catch you next time. Okay, so the graphics card is